Hello, and welcome to this episode of the In My Era podcast. I'm your host, Haley Sasso, and we're here today on a rainy day in San Diego where I feel as though I'm thriving because it rarely rains in San Diego. So when it does, I try to make the most of it, and that is what we're doing here today. This episode was inspired by my past journals. Yesterday, I was sick, like down for the count, in bed for 24 hours. And while I was in bed for 24 hours, I started going through some of my old diaries because I wanted to get a sense of where I was at in life 2 years ago and then compare it to where I'm at today. And there were a few things that I noticed that were patterns in at least my goals 2 years ago. So I wanted to discuss those goals with you guys. Let me pull them up really fast. When I looked back at my goals 2 years ago, my goals were to, yes, have friends, be financially stable, be in a career that I like, whatever, you get the point. But specifically, I wanted to be making a lot of money. I wanted to have $100,000 in my checkings account. First of all, that's stupid because if you have $100,000 in your checking account, your money's just sitting there when it could be, you get the point, whatever. I wanted to have $100,000 in my savings, and another goal was I wanted to be famous. That is something that I wrote in my goals. And it was funny to read over those things because I feel like that's very different from my goals now. And I almost feel like sometimes I judge other people when they tell me they have those goals, particularly men. I don't know why I feel so judgmental over men. Maybe it's me trying to protect myself. I'm not quite sure. But every time a man tells me that he wants to be rich and famous, I literally am like, what? Okay, maybe I'm judging them because I'm judging myself. I don't know. Anyways, pivot. So yeah, I wanted to be rich and famous 2 years ago. And I feel like that's changed this last year and a half. It's changed literally ever since I wrote that, to where now I don't want to be rich and famous. I want to be comfortable. I want to have enough money to live my life and do my things, but I don't desire excess. And as well as fame, I don't desire fame. If fame comes along, then that's cool. I'm here for it because I do feel like my hobbies tend to be the things that would make people famous. Having a super killer podcast. Whatever. Anyways, if fame comes along, if money comes along, that's cool, but that's not my goal. Because I actually feel like with fame and money comes a lot of evil and hardship. And I don't really desire that, okay? When I think about what I truly want in life, I want love. Pure love. I want pure human connections, and I want to enjoy life. I feel like my perspective on life has been shifting a little bit lately because for the last few years I've been in such a grind mentality of I have to be working so hard to achieve these things that I want. But I think that that's a trap. The idea that to get what you want, you have to suffer. I don't think that that's how it works. I think that life was meant to be enjoyed along the way. And I actually think that if you take a step back, slow down, come to the present moment more often, rest, enjoy where you're at, you will get to where you want to go quicker than if you just hustle, grind, and suffer the whole way. When I was looking back at my goals from 2 years ago, at first I was like, ooh, what the fuck, kind of judging myself. But then I took a step back and I was realizing that is where I was at on my journey at that time. And when I encounter people in my life now who say they want to be rich and famous or whatever it is, I think it's smarter to recognize that that is where that person is at in their journey. We all have our own journeys. We all have our own timelines. It takes some of us longer than others to reach certain levels. But when you really look at it, you cannot compare one person's life to another's, their goals to another's. We are truly in competition with no one but ourselves. So I look back on where I was 2 years ago and I'm like, aw, I kind of have empathy for her, because I think, wow, like that's where she was at in her journey. She thought that fame and money could make her happy. And now where I'm at in life, I would say I'm pretty happy. I would say, you know what? Neither fame nor money did those things. The only thing that made me happy now versus that didn't make me happy then was now I am choosing to find the beauty, the love, the joy in the small moments of every single day, instead of thinking, when I achieve blank, I will be happy. I had to throw that mindset out the fucking window because it was eating me alive. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap sometimes of saying, I will be happy when. Basically everyone I know is like thinking that, and I think sometimes I think that way too, but I think that's just an example of how your want is destroying your ability to achieve. And let me explain what I mean by that. I think wanting things, setting goals is important, but I think when you get too wrapped up in what you want, you forget to actually be present and enjoy where you are at. It's human nature to want more. You get $10, you want 100. You get 100, you want 1,000. I mean, just look at all the billionaires out there in the world, right? They're billionaires because they were not happy with $1 million. Or maybe they just got offered more. I don't know. No shade, but all the shade in the world. I just think wanting something so bad that it takes you out of the joy in your life disrupts your process to get what you want. Let me think of an example for how I can explain this maybe a little bit better. Ooh. All right, guys. This is a good example. I, at one point in my life, not at one point, actually a few times in my life, let's say there's a boy that I like. I really like him. I really, really, really want to be in a relationship with him. I want that thing so badly that it's all I'm really focused about. It's all I'm really concerned about. And when I think about, what do I want? That is like the top thing that comes to mind. All right. And when I have had these boys at the center of my want, of wanting it so badly, because they were not giving that to me, I was miserable. Even though I was living in San Diego, had amazing friends, I've had an amazing life. It was like none of the good in my life mattered because I didn't have that one thing that I wanted. And I think what I've learned since then is that if you put one external thing as the source of your happiness, you will never be happy. If you put being rich and famous as your number one goal, you will never be happy. Because guess what? Someone's always going to be more rich, more famous than you. That's the reality of it. But if you have goals like, okay, I want to be in a happy and healthy reciprocal relationship. I want to have financial stability where I can travel or whenever I want. If you have goals that you set, that's going to give you something to work towards. But you don't put that at the front of your mind of the biggest thing that you want. I think the easiest way to be happy and slow down and actually achieve what you want is to want joy and love and goodness in your day-to-day life. When I wake up in the morning, I think to myself, okay, I want to go get coffee. I want to talk to some strangers at the coffee shop. I want to compliment people. I want to go watch the sunset, sunrise, whatever it may be. It's like I set little things like I want to enjoy my day. And I go about my day and I'm enjoying it and I'm in a positive headspace. And that gives me the energy and the fuel to work really hard towards whatever goal it is that I have. I think oftentimes your biggest aha moments come to you when you're at a state of rest. So if you're always hustling, like, I want this, I want this, I want this, so I have to work 24/7, then sure, you might get there, but you're going to get there by destroying yourself. Whereas if you slow down, take time to rest, take time to enjoy all of the things that you currently have, you're still working in the direction of your goals. You're still going to achieve them if you don't give up, but you're going to enjoy the process a lot more. So I think, how can I relate this back to where I'm at in my life? There's still things that I want, right? Like, I want to be able to meet more people and help more people, and I want to find a happy and healthy romantic partner where I can have a reciprocal, healthy, let me highlight that, relationship. Okay, like, yeah, I want that, but I know that I don't need that right now. Peace for me comes from knowing that I actually have every single thing that I desire. I have everything that I need right now in this moment. And the best way for me to attract in more of what I want is to completely recognize and be grateful for everything that I have. You don't get what you want by feeling like you don't have it. You get what you want by realizing that you already do. One of my friends was asking me, she was like, how do I manifest in the best way possible? Like, what can I do to manifest these things into my life? And I said to her, you just have to embody the energy and the mindset as though you already have it, right? Like, if I want to go to Tahiti, I don't know why that came to mind, but it did, then I'm going to act and think from the energetic vibration that I already have it. Like, my flight's already booked. I'm going to be, looking at Pinterest inspo for like outfits of what to wear. I'm going to be doing research on the food that's there. I am going to be looking forward to it. It's like everything, in my opinion, is energy. We are energy, you guys. Remember that one time in science class where you learned that theoretically, if you were to punch a wall, you could go through it because of the atoms and how atoms aren't actually touching each other and like there's space. It's like everything is energy. You are energy. We were made from energy, all right? So when you embody the energy that you already have something, it's like you release all of the blockages for you to actually get it, all right? I feel as though, guys, I might be spitting bars, all right? Sometimes I open my mouth and just yap into this mic and I'm like, bro, what the flip is coming out of my head? And why does that sound so wise? I don't know. But we're gonna take a little gander back to the notes to make sure that I'm on track. I think before we wrap this up, I just want to circle back to this whole idea of that is where somebody else is on their journey. Okay? And this was something that I thought for myself when I was in reflection of my goals, being like, oh wow, like little Haley 2 years ago wanted to be rich and famous. Instead of being like, that's cringy and embarrassing, I was like, you know what? That was where she is at on her journey. And this week I've even taken that into my immediate interactions with other people. Sometimes, there are people who talk about you, right? There was someone who was talking about me to one of my friends, because that happens, humans talk. And she was saying just like a lot of things about me, or like little comments that weren't outright rude, but the underlying message was pretty judgmental and negative and whatever. And as my friend was telling me these things that this other person said about me, at first it made me feel upset. Like, I was like, that's like, why would she even? And then I stopped myself and I was like, okay, you know what? That's where she's at on her journey. All right. Her words are not a reflection of me because I know who I am. Her words are a reflection of her and where she is at on her journey. Confidence is quiet. Confidence does not go around and talk poorly about other people. Confidence does not shout from the rooftops that they are confident. Confidence is quiet. True love is quiet. And I want you watching to remember that if there are people around you where you feel as though you might be judging them, or they might be judging you, I want you to stop yourself and think to yourself, you know what? That is where they are at in their journey. This is where I am at in my journey. That doesn't mean that I am good or bad. That doesn't mean that they are good or bad. It just means we are all working through our own things internally to learn and grow. So, to anyone who talks negatively about me, I get it, I get it. And I have empathy for them. I still kind of love them, and I think that they're just as good as anyone else. That's just where they're at on their journey. And try and embrace where you are on your journey while asking yourself what you can do to learn and grow from this. I think that's all I have for this week. But I love you, and I will talk to you guys next week. Goodbye. Goodbye, lovers.